Today we're going to be talking about improper fractions. We've talked about different kinds of fractions, but an improper fraction is very easily identified because the numerator is always larger than the denominator. So here's an easy example. We know our numerator's on top, our denominator's on the bottom, but here we see that the numerator is larger than the denominator. Whenever you see this, you're going to know that this is called improper fractions. When you see an improper fraction, this means that this fraction is greater than 1. Now we've talked about proper fractions are between 0 and 1. It's not quite the whole. It's a piece of the whole. But when you see an improper fraction where the numerator is larger than the denominator, you're going to know that this fraction, there's more than one whole there. So let's look. We said that the fraction 3/2 is an improper fraction because the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So if I have 3/2, so this is half of a circle, another half, and another half, so I have 3 of those, my denominator still tells me how many it takes to make a whole. So how many does it take to make a whole in this case? It takes 2. So if I put 2 in a box, that's 1. But my fraction's telling me that I'm talking about 3/2, so I still have a piece left over. So I have 1, and then I have 1/2 left over. So you'll see that this fraction isn't between 0 and 1. It's an improper fraction, so it's between 1 and 2. So this fraction would be here on my number line. Here's another example. Improper fraction, numerator is bigger than the denominator. My denominator tells me how many it takes to make a whole. Well, if each of these is 1/4, this is 1/4 of a square, this is 1/4, this is 1/4, and I have 7 of those. Well, we already know by definition that if it's an improper fraction, it's going to be more than 1. But we can see here, my denominator tells me that it takes 4 to make the whole. So if I put 4 together, that's 1 whole. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 4/4 equals 1. But I still have some stuff left over because my fraction tells me I have 7/4. I have 1, 2, 3/4 left over. So 7/4 is 1 and 3/4. So it would come between 1 and 2, and it would be over here somewhere. Okay? Proper fractions are between 0 and 1. An improper fraction is going to be greater than 1 whenever the numerator is bigger than the denominator. And you can see here, if I group them, I have some left over, but not quite enough to make another whole. Now when you're solving a problem, an equation, and you're working with fractions, if your solution to your equation is an improper fraction, you should always convert it to a mixed number. This helps you when you get ready to reduce to find the smallest that you can. Okay? So if your solution is if the solution to your equation is an improper fraction, it should be converted to a mixed number. Well, we've talked about mixed numbers. So here I have 2/4 plus 3/4 is 7/4. Well, here I have 7/4 again. So if each of these circles is 1/4, 1/4, how many of those does it take to make a whole? Well, it takes 4 of them. So I could circle these 4. So I know that is 1. Well, I have some things left over. Well, I know this is 1. And how many do I have left over? 1, 2, 3, But what are they? They're not 3 wholes, they're 3/4. So all I've done is converted my improper fraction into a mixed number, 1 3/4. And now it's easy to see that this number is obviously greater than 1. So it's going to go between 1 and 2 because my whole number is 1 3/4. Well, that's almost 2 because I only need one more to make another whole. So my fraction would be on the number line somewhere here, 1 3/4, because it is more than 1. Well, here's another example. This time I'm working with thirds. How many does it take to make a whole? Takes 3. Look at my first number in my equation. My first fraction is 5/3. What can you tell me about that fraction? First, it's improper, so we already know that this is more than 1. 5/3 plus 2/3. Well, if your denominator's the same, all you have to do is add your numerator. So I have 7, this time it's thirds, 7/3. So if I look at this, my denominator tells me how many do I need to have a whole? I need 3. So if each of these is a third, this time we're working with thirds, 1/3. Each of these parts is 1/3 of the whole. And I want to see how many wholes I have first. So I need thirds, so I need 3 to make a whole, and I have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, if I group these 3, how many would that give me? Well, that gives me 1. 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3, that's 3/3. That equals 1. Look down here. So I have 4 left. Well, I can make another group. 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 is 3/3, and that equals 1. And then I have this one little 1/3 over here all by itself. 1/3. So how many wholes do I have? 1, 2. So I have 2 wholes, and then I have just that 1/3 over there by itself. So if I get an improper fraction as the solution to my equation, I have to reduce it or change it to a mixed number. So this is 2 1/3. So I've taken this improper fraction, turned it into a mixed number. So now I can see where it goes on my number line. So 2 1/3 is going to go back down here between 2 and 3. So proper fractions are between 0 and 1, but your improper fractions are always going to be greater than 1.